Hi, everybody. I enjoyed James Carville's speech a lot, and I know you did. I could hear by the thunderous applause, and I was very disturbed about what the hell I was going to say to, being anywhere near as entertaining. Yeah, particularly with a dry subject about, disaster response and preparedness, But he really put his finger on the essence of what so much of this is truly all about, and really what New Orleans is doing very well. You are unique. By the way, every city in the world is unique. What went wrong with the response I'm talking about the response after Katrina, after the storm. It was the same thing that went wrong in virtually every disaster, anywhere, any city, any country, any region in the world. Lack of local preparedness, lack of logistics, and the coordinating ability to say, what are we going to do now to address the problem? I say that Carville's right on point because, for humanitarian organizations, the best ones, United Nations, FEMA's, MEMA's, all kinds of organizations that try to come to help, I mean, in effect, most of them are almost always in the way, for the first 2 or 3 or 4 days. At the end of the day, it's absolutely true, bona fidely, categorically true, that it is your brothers, sisters, friends, allies, usually your church, synagogues, faith-based, community-based organizations that really save the day until the cavalry may or may not come to town, and maybe they'll be good or maybe they'll be bad. I ran a pretty good-sized supply chain management company around the world. We had about 11,000 folks in about 120 countries around the world, and we were faced with disasters all the time. We had floods and cyclones and typhoons and all of this. The offices got shut down, and we really got very good at opening up these offices. It's now called business continuity. It's a science. You may not be aware of that. And as good as we were on that, we really were pathetic at really worrying about and addressing, the needs of the family, spouses, children, of the employees that we had around the world in each one of these disasters. And it really, really boiled me. We did what most people do. We said, well, the local authorities will take care of it. Just go to the local Red Cross, your local region, your local government. They'll put your house back in order. I'm sure they'll take care of everything you need to take care of. And we'll send you a little bit of money, and and the whole organization is behind you. Only to see that, this was flawed and irresponsible and absolutely void of any fiduciary thing, particularly for a company that called itself the best logistics company and supply chain management company in the world. I mean, we weren't even supply chain managing, the spouses and children, of our own employees when they were beset in various places around the world. That's how this Fritz Institute started. And what we found, I sent a bunch of people out to see really what was wrong with disaster relief. Everybody's got their own story, and most of it's anecdotal. And the research turned out just basically what I started out with saying. A, lack of local preparedness. B, almost no logistics coordination and management in place before something happens. So obviously the response is going to be pretty jagged, And we found out also that although a lot of people had sort of involved themselves on this, almost always after the fact, and very well-meaning people. This is the commercial people, governments, academics, and the rest. They flew in during and after and had a lot of thoughts about what should happen, and they came and tried to assist and things of that nature. But mostly sort of, by the way, the word for humanitarian support, you might be surprised, I was rather shocked to learn, is intervention. I said, gee, that's a curious word. We're intervening. I sort of thought support might be, a little bit more to the, to the point. And there's a sharp edge to that word in many respects. It's well-meaning, but the fact of the matter is what we found and what we decided to do was simply to support, do the back room, the nitty-gritty gunky stuff that humanitarian organizations and local governments and the rest should be doing, but don't usually have the resources, the abilities, and the rest. Essentially putting very common business practices that have been woven and refined over the course of years and make them available to the providers. We don't disintermediate. People ask, God, did you respond? I said, we don't respond. It's not our job to respond. There's guys and ladies that do this every year, and that's their charter. That's what the Red Cross, that's what UN, that's what Save the Children, that's what all these organizations do, and they do it well, and the people are well-intended, and they're brilliant, you should see. I mean, they're heroic. But they have very few tools usually, because preparation isn't usually part of the budget. There's been a great deal of castigation in different cities and things around. Why weren't we more prepared? What happened? I mean, the fact of the matter is, mayors of cities have a hell of a lot of problems to deal with, and disasters is usually sort of down the list. You have unemployment, you have hospitals, you have all kinds of schools, all kinds of enormously important things to do, and it's tough to get the money and the resources for something that may or may not happen on your watch. And so this is not being judgmental on my part. We're all dealing with a human nature situation here. It's not right, it's not wrong, but it just has to be, said to be aware of that. And getting back to Carville's, remarks and New Orleans, they asked me to write something on my hand. They sort of shuttled me down here before they could write it, but what I will write on my hand as a message is lead the way. I mean, I'm here really, basically, in many respects, to witness all the people that stood up here in front of me. We had Timolin, who's doing all of this, work on the ground with your neighborhoods, because that's the answer to disasters. It's, by the way, an answer to a way of life. It's an answer to defining who we are. It's an answer to communicating. I mean, we have a vacuteer, a guy named Bob Flaherty I met upstairs that, has worked with a whole bunch of people so you can evacuate, thousands of people now because, and by who? By local people doing the local thing and just getting prepared. The schools, the charter schools, all the rest of it. And the good news is, I mean, as I was introduced, I mean, I was part of this august panel of experts from around the world, around the region. It's always gratifying to be invited to such things, and particularly being sort of a business guy that, started a charity. I'm doing now for free what I try to do for profit, modestly well, but now I'm actually focused on doing it not for profit. So it was good to be here. But the point I'm trying to make is that we came here to learn really what was happening in New Orleans. And the good news about all of the issues, if there's a good news at all, is that you are under the microscope of the world now. It's really good news. You're really doing great stuff. A lot of people that you don't know, you'll never meet, and who and the rest will be much better off for what you do, because guys like me that work on this every day, behind the scenes before it happens, in Tamil Nadu and all through, after the tsunamis, all the rest, have say, hey, here's what, not only was it a bad thing, but here's what they did, and it's local, it's unique, it's preparation, and actually it's sort of fun, because it creates an atmosphere of locality that you don't get in the strip malls and all the rest of it, where nobody knows and nobody talks to anybody or anything else. So like most other things, and I guess the underlying factor of this conference is, creativity, through crisis. Well, I was sort of bent by that, because indeed, is it creativity, or is it just sort of back to the most basic elements? And that's really all it is. And I congratulate you. I'm delighted, to be able to take your message from time to time to other parts of the world, which we do all the time, and to demonstrate and talk in very specific terms, of what the people in New Orleans and the rest, are doing, what your universities are doing, who are now all having courses in humanitarian logistics, Tulane, LSU, et cetera. I mean, you can be and will be probably the leader in response, in organizations, to address disasters and vulnerable people and places that are in line of potential problems. So with that, thank you for both your time, your attention, and your interest. Good night.